Kandi has to play leader, provider, hustler for her family. If you look at her mama and them sisters, wait a minute, where are the men? Go ahead and let another woman in your bedroom because you think that's gonna help your marriage. That is so stupid. He lives with Kandi, and his name ain't even on the home. The way that Kandi allowed her mama to disrespect her man, her fiance, and her future husband, that should have been the only red flag that Todd should have seen, and he should have exited stage left. Here's the other caveat to that, and this is just my opinion. I think that Kandi,
all I'm gonna say is coming.
Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Melanie P podcast. I'm your girl, Melanie P, and we're here to have a conversation, y'all. Todd Tucker Burruss and Kandi Burruss are no longer together, y'all. Let's get into it. So if you have been hiding under a rock, then you may not know that it's all over the social media streets that Kandi and Todd are no more. Now, are you surprised, or was you always team Mama Joyce and we know that this was just inevitable? Let's do a quick recap of the Todd and Kandi story of it all. Then we're going to go through, was Mama Joyce right? Is Kandi too masculine? Is Todd just a real opportunist? Was he sitting here lurking and waiting for this moment to play his cards and get his coin? It is so much, y'all, and the streets are talking. So if you are like me and you love the Real Housewives of Atlanta, then you know and you remember how Kandi and Todd met, y'all. Kandi was a single Real Housewives on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she wanted her a man, and she did not hide that. She wanted her a man, and she was doing all she could to get her a man. They met during season 4 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you remember, they went on a trip to Africa. At the time, Todd was a production worker behind the scenes on the show, and somehow the two short people met up, and it was just love after first sight, I think. Now, it's funny I say that because I could have sworn I remember Todd saying something that Kandi wasn't his type, or, you know, her looks wasn't what he typically go for. And that might explain how we ended up here in divorce. It also might explain the threesomes and all the other things that we have seen Kandi try to do to keep her man, and it did not work. Fast forward, they meet in Ghana or Africa during a cast trip. They fall in love, or so it seems. And here comes Mama Joyce. And Mama Joyce is like, who is this man? Phaedra, why did you introduce this man to my daughter? Where's his money? Where's his height? What's going on? From the jump, they came from different backgrounds. They came from different, income brackets. They came from a lot of different things. And everybody was against Mama Joyce. Now, Mama Joyce was not here for Todd and Kandi. And it really brings to mind this whole conversation about, damn, was Mama Joyce right this whole time? And should we listen to our mamas more often? Or was she just sitting here and she didn't want her check and Riley's check to get cut off by this little short man? I do think that there's a moment for us to all learn here. Now, we know we're not going to learn because Black mamas think that they're always right and their delivery typically is always wrong. I do feel like Mama Joyce was onto something. I just think that her delivery was just totally awful. One of the claims that Mama Joyce made is that Todd was an opportunist. That word is really getting me, y'all. Todd was an opportunist. Todd was marrying Kandi just for the lifestyle, just for the access in the platform. She made a lot of accusations. She even accused Todd of cheating with Coleman when they were doing dress fittings. So for me, it was doomed, honestly, from the beginning, and I'm going to tell you why. The way that Kandi allowed her mama to disrespect her man, her fiance, and her future husband, that should have been the only red flag that Todd should have seen, and he should have exited stage left. Why he didn't exit stage left? Could it have been that he was going to ride this, Emmy award winning, EGOT on the road to Grammy award winning, songstress with all this money and property? Like, was this a scheme that Todd has been setting up? It's always funny how this stuff be really right in the forefront, right in our eyes, and we just do not want to believe the writing on the wall. So at the end of the day, was Mama Joyce right? Or was she wrong? Now let's go ahead and go over to Kandi. Again, we know that they have filed for divorce, and now it's starting to seemingly get ugly. But I want to start with my thoughts on Kandi. Unpopular opinion, I think that Kandi might just be with a woman, child. I don't know. I feel like there's nothing about Kandi that gives me soft. And I know that that's something that's very, very scary to say about a black woman. But I'm a black woman, so I can say it. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. It's my opinion.
That's my opinion!
I think that she did not respect Todd. I think that she just really wanted to be married because she was on the Housewives of Atlanta. We saw that she went from broke man to, broke man to man with 1,000 kids, back to back to back. And I don't know if her radar for picking men has been the best, which could have explained the fact or the reason as to why Mama Joyce was like, girl, this ain't it. This ain't it. And I feel like maybe she was reaching out for desperation. But let's go back to this whole masculine thing. In the relationship, there were a lot of signs. Number one, like I said, she did not stop her mom from disrespecting her future husband. She had that man sign a prenuptial agreement down to the night before the wedding. She did not care. Now, again, business is business. But when we see Kandi, we see woman who about her business. And it just wasn't looking right. The optics of every step, every turn that you took as it relates to Kandi and Todd, it just did not look good. And to me, what I have learned and what I have gained in my wisdom years is that if it's hard like that, it ain't worth it and it's doomed to fail in a relationship. If you look at the dynamics in the relationship of Kandi and Todd, Kandi more so holds the traditional man roles in this relationship. In my opinion, Kandi was a provider. Kandi was the leader. Kandi gave Todd financial security, stability. She put a roof over his head, food in his mouth. I mean, she's doing the things that typically a man shows up in a woman's life to do. And I just feel like this is just another example of how this was likely doomed to fail, because where did Todd fit in? Where did Todd fit in? Todd has a YouTube channel that I just found out that he had a YouTube channel. And even his YouTube channel looks very, very bootleg. He's literally sitting there, and I'm going to show this. He's literally sitting there this is an example of how his YouTube channel was. And he's almost like his wife's sidekick, but not in a way that's given anything that I would want to give or get from a man or from a partner. He's literally sitting there and he's doing a podcast or a YouTube show about his wife, about his wife's friends, and just basically monopolizing, like we literally said it appeared that he was doing based on Mama Joyce. Again, let's go back to the masculinity of it all. Kandi is a hustler. She out here hustling, looking for her next job. I remember even on one of the episodes that Todd did on his podcast, or whatever you want to call it, on YouTube, he said, listen, he lives with Kandi, his wife, and his name ain't even on the home. Kandi said, you know what? Even though we're together, I want to build my dream home. Now, again, you about to marry a man. You want to marry a man. And I'm not faulting her. I'm just giving you my opinion. We've all been in some type of similar situation, possibly. You want to marry a man, but yet you also are such in your masculine energy that you also want to build your dream house, buy your dream house, even though you also want to get married. You cannot seem to let go of this role. Now, to Kandi's defense, Kandi seemingly has to play leader, provider, hustler for her family. If you look at her mama and them sisters, wait a minute. Where are the men? And so how did Kandi grow up? What examples of men relationships did she see? And so now fast forward, she's a rich bitch out here with all the money, all the properties and everything. And so now is she Mama Joyce man and them sisters? Like, she's constantly showing up, in my opinion, in such a very strong masculine energy and space. And so to her defense, again, I really don't ever see men in Kandi's life from her family, like older men, established men. Now, I'm not going to say that they don't exist. I'm not going to say that they're not there, but that explains a lot. Kandi's taking care of Riley, who up in New York spending all her money. Kandi's taking care of her mama, and I'm sure she's taking care of cousins and aunties too. And so she's constantly in that masculine provider energy. So I just don't think that a man like Todd would have ever worked. It would have seemingly worked because she possibly looked at Todd the way that she's looked at these other men, like a dependent. You would really think that a woman of that financial status, of, you know, with that type of hustle mentality, let's put the finances aside because we know the men will be like,
oh, well, you know, it should be equal on both sides.
Whatever. Take the finances and put that to the side. Kandi's hustle game, Kandi's visionary game, Kandi, let's open up a business game, is very strong and it's very, very heavy. So a man like Todd, who is just a production supervisor or whatever he was, production, not even supervisor, he was a production associate on the show. And this is nothing against production associates, but we have to keep a thing. She a boss, she on a show and he's behind the camera as a production worker. It just wasn't going to work. And it begs the question, like I said, why would she even choose a man like that? But she chooses a man like that over and over and over again because she's in her masculine energy and she doesn't see herself as someone that needs a provider, someone that needs a protector, someone that can pour into her businesses. No, she want to do the pouring. She want to do the providing. She want to do the protection, and maybe not in her intentional mind, but maybe in her subconscious, she's so used to carrying that title of all those things that spills over into her romantic life. Let me give you a parallel to this. My mom told me recently, she was like, you know, you and your brother always want a project. You and your brother always want something, or always tend to, in the past, date people, marry people who you feel like needs to be healed, and that's an issue. And that comes from somewhere. I don't know where it comes from. But the same thing is with Kandi. Your choice in men comes from something. You know, rest in peace, her last fiance, or whoever that man was. That man had like 6 or 7 kids by 6 or 7 women, allegedly. Fact check me. It's something along those lines. I ain't got time to Google it. But this man had 6 or 7 kids by damn near 6 or 7 women. And you, Kandi, Burruss, Grammy Award winning, girl group singing, Beyonce songwriting, TLC songwriting, on your way to an EGOT heaven, Broadway show singing. You think that that's something that would benefit you and your daughter. A man with 6 kids and damn near six baby mamas, something along those lines. So look at her history. Her history speaks to the fact that, okay, Todd, you know, it's giving, I'm the man. I wear the pants. Now let's talk about another piece of this. You know, Kandi was very vocal about, oh, we can have a threesome. You can bring another woman in our bedroom. Kandi is known for doing the freak nasty stuff. And this is a tall tale to women out there. Go ahead and let another woman in your bedroom because you think that's going to help your marriage or your relationship. That is so stupid. Look at Tiana Taylor. Had all kind of bitches up in whoever allegedly in her bedroom. Look at where she is, divorcing. Just gave that man a big old settlement. You know, sometimes women feel, understandably so, I guess, you know, I'm in a relationship. I'm not even in a relationship. I'm in a marriage. And maybe my marriage or my partner is seemingly, I'm not enough of my partner. So instead of lose him, let me bring somebody else in. It don't be working. It doesn't work. And here's the other caveat to that. And this is just my opinion. I think that Kandi might really want a woman. Listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. And you have heard, you know, I think Kandi has said, I think allegedly, that, you know, she has dibbled and dabbled in the lady pond. Kandi is a very sexual girl who will seemingly try any and everything. And she said that on a podcast. So I'm not just saying that. She will do most anything except for, I think, butt play to another man or something like that, and no urine play. But she's been very vocal and very, you know, out there about the fact that she like women. So it's like, do you just really want a woman? Do you really want to just lean into that masculinity? Do you want to lean fully into that masculinity, girl, and just get you a woman that you can provide, protect, and give a stable life to the way that you've given it to Todd and your mama? Enough with Kandi. Let's talk about Todd. It's my opinion currently today that Kandi was not Todd's type. I think that we often look at women who see a rich nigga and we gonna be like, oh, well, maybe he's not a looker, or maybe he lacks this, but he has money, he has access, he has a platform. I believe, in my opinion, that Todd felt the same way. In my opinion, I do not believe that Todd was really fully just into Kandi the way that I would want a man to be into a woman. I think that, and I can't find it and I didn't even look for it, but I feel like I've seen Todd say, or somebody say, that Kandi really wasn't his typical type or something along the lines of her looks. I think that Todd was playing a game. I think that Todd knew that Kandi wanted a man. I think that Todd knew that Kandi had some access. And I think that Todd liked Kandi. I think that Todd loved Kandi. But do I think that Todd was in love with Kandi? I don't think so. I just don't think so. You are a production crew member and now you are married to a multi-millionaire housewife on the show that you was working on as a production crew person. Cha-ching. It's the same thing with women. Men are not any different. Men are not any different. How many men have said over the years they would date Oprah? How many black men and white men have you said that Oprah can get it, you would marry Oprah and live you a comfortable life? Are you necessarily attracted to Oprah? No. But you know, with Oprah comes, access. You ain't got to work. You have a chef, a butler. Life is made for you if you can be with somebody like Oprah. And if you can have a baby by somebody like Oprah, cha-ching. And also, just like Todd secured them babies. It is the same thing. I don't know how y'all can't see that. Literally, this is literally the same thing. Todd saw a free ride and Todd took it. The level of disrespect that Kandi mama and Kandi's family gave to not only Todd, but Todd mom, you don't think, and rest in peace to Todd mama, because I actually liked her, you don't think that Todd mama also didn't encourage Todd to hang in there? Especially if not, for being against Kandi, for them damn aunts and that mama who was talking so much shit about Todd and his mama. And I really feel like, if I remember correctly, Miss Joyce talked about Todd's mom even after she was gone. That's very low. That's very low. Now think about all the doors that being married to Kandi opened for Todd. He would be a fool not to knock her up and invest as many years as he could with Kandi. That woman would not even take his last name legally. That woman didn't even trust this man enough to even put him on the name of the house. She was there to provide, protect, and be a man to Todd. And Todd was her bitch. This needs to be a tall tale. I don't believe in dating down and dating up and things like that. But this is a drastic difference. Back to Todd. All right, so Todd, again, from production crew person to now you have all of these businesses. Remember looking at the show, Todd would have all these ideas. And I remember watching the show when Todd and Kandi were on there. And I remember it's almost like Todd worked for Kandi. I know that they both had, businesses together. But at the end of the day, we knew that the money came from Kandi. And so it was really given that Todd, Don Juan, and Karma was all on Kandi's payroll. It's so many scenes now that I'm thinking about it when I look back where people really just didn't even really respect Todd because they knew that he didn't have no money in comparison to his wife. It would almost be like he would have to ask her if he could open a business. It's so cringe because I remember this shit. It's like he had to ask her for permission. How is that a marriage? I don't care. I don't care if it sounds like old school or whatever. How is that a marriage? It's not going to work. I believe that men have certain roles and women have certain roles in a romantic dynamic. And if a man is not aligned in his provide, protect, bring stability energy, if he's not aligned in that and his wife or partner is more so aligned in that than he is, then you feel emasculated. You're not even showing up as your best self. There's no way that you're waking up in the morning feeling good about yourself when you know that your wife is your boss. And I watched some of Todd's YouTube videos, and some of the ways that he would kind of throw off on Kandi, her lipo, her looks, some of the things that I would see in those shows and those episodes that I watched today was just like, this man don't love you, girl. This man don't love you. There have been conversation about Todd cheating. I remember watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta and he having a whole apartment wanting to get away from Kandi. I remember also reading that, Todd wasn't really showing up when they had that last baby. He was out all night at the damn, Hawks games and doing this and doing that. It's not giving a man who wants to be with his wife. It was almost like a present slowly being unwrapped, and the gift was these divorce papers. We started hearing more and more things from Todd, more and more things from, Kandi was getting more and more vocal about her disdain for the apartment, about, him staying up all night or staying out all night, him not being there with the babies. She was getting more and more vocal about it. And I think he was having more and more audacity because it was over for him. He didn't care. He was given all the audacity because he did not care. I really believe that in the emasculation of Todd, he began to get more and more resentful to Kandi and to her mama. And I have to keep bringing up Mama Joyce because there is no way that I'm about to let my partner's mama talk to me and disrespect me in that kind of way and I just sit there and take it. There's a reason. And the reason was the long game that he was playing. Now, I started to say maybe he didn't start out that way, but I don't know. I feel like if I could just guess and just, put my money on it, I feel like deep down, Todd, the fact that Kandi was a girl or man boss with all of these, all of these gifts, all of these perks of being with Kandi, he knew that, which is why he was signing that prenup in the beginning. In my final thoughts, I think that Kandi has a really big heart. I think that Kandi means well. I think that she really wants to be a provider, a protector to those around her. I think that where are the men in Kandi's life? Where the uncles at? Where the dads? Where are the male I don't know. Where are the men at? Where are the men at? I think that she is just a product of a woman-led family. Think about it. Look how vocal Mama Joyce is. Look at how vocal those aunts are. That is what she comes from. And I don't see none of them with no man. I don't see none of them vocal grandmas and aunties with no man. And it's unfortunate for Kandi because that's how she grew up, allegedly. I think that, at the end of the day, Todd wanted power. He wanted attention. He wanted the access and he got it. And I think that this divorce might get ugly because I don't think that Todd is going to back down. I think that Todd is going to get Kandi for the old and the new. Talking about his mama, being disrespected by her mama, all the things, all the resentment, all that stuff is going to surface. And this is going to be a very ugly divorce. Now, do I think that Todd is going to get custody of them kids? A man asking for custody, full custody of kids, to me, you got a plan. Online talking about daddy daycare, making sure your Instagram looks like you're not, I'm sure he's a devoted father, but I think that we have not given Todd enough credit. I think that we have looked at Todd like a little short boy who sat there and was Kandi's minion, and likely and maybe allegedly the whole time he was planning this. This divorce feels like less of a shock and just a natural next step in what they were. I don't know, y'all. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know if you feel like Kandi really exudes that masculine energy that I spoke about. Do you think Kandi wants to just really be with a girl? Look at Portia. Everybody is going from failed marriages to just let's go to the women. I think allegedly that there was some truth in them trying to get Portia. I think that where there's smoke, there's fire. And anybody who is that obsessed with sex lines and sex like the way she is, the dungeon, the allegations, just go ahead and go over to the LGBTQ plus side. They will welcome you there. So scary. At the end of the day, y'all, let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next episode.